Tonight on The Roast, Kevin Rudd hires Obama's campaign team and concerns arise over possible bias from tent companies at Nauru Island. But first, Bradley Manning, the US Army whistleblower, has been found not guilty of aiding the enemy and hence avoided a sentence of life in prison, instead receiving up to 136 years in prison for committing espionage. Manning was found guilty on 20 of the 22 charges laid against him, making the potential 136-year sentence considerably worse than Edward Snowden's life in an airport food court, though slightly better than the Ecuadorian ambassador's life with Julian Assange. Now, Manning was arrested right back in July 2010 and he's spent every day since in prison. Well, except when he got to go to court, where he found out he'll spend every remaining day in prison. And that might sound harsh, but we do need prisons to prevent criminals from repeat offending. It keeps murderers away from weapons, thieves away from banks, and Bradley Manning's away from the internet. I mean, sure, they could have just cut off his internet access or even kept his internet and just changed their login details, but 136 years is also good. And for more on that, Jazz Twemlow filed this report.
An American military court has just found Bradley Manning guilty, and the 25-year-old is now facing a potential prison sentence of 136 years, or 5.5 Bradley Mannings, finally giving closure to the American public, which has suffered the terrible pain of realizing all the horrific things their country had done that should have remained a secret. Julian Assange has said that the purpose of the sentence is to act as some kind of terrible deterrent. But is up to 136 years enough to put people off leaking US secrets? Some would argue, yes it is. It's a really long time. No one's ever lived that long. And therein lies the problem. Bradley Manning could cut his sentence short by exploiting the system and dying of natural causes like a traitor. So to maximize the effectiveness of this deterrent, the US needs to make some changes. First up, longevity. Bradley Manning is currently 25 and may need to serve 136 years. Here, in a secret military base, US scientists are working on ways to keep him alive until he's 162 years old, so he can serve his full sentence and then enjoy 1 year of freedom as a completely rehabilitated man. And finally, if he does somehow die before his time, or before his time is served, to make sure the US government gets the maximum deterrent value from the accused, they're busy making clones, so that future generations can also have a Bradley Manning to remind them that revealing your country's massive international crimes is a massive international crime in your country. From the Manning fetus crop, I'm Jazz Twemlow.
You know, in the good old days, they'd have just stuck his head on a spike. But moving on to our next story, allegations of a conflict of interest in the coalition's new asylum-seeker policy. Oh, not yet. No, it's coming up. Now, the coalition has pledged to build tents to house up to 2,000 more asylum seekers on Nauru. No, okay, wait, still not the alleged conflict of interest bit. Here it comes. Drum roll, please.
Opposition immigration spokesman Scott Morrison travelled to Nauru to make the policy announcement at the expense of the logistics company Toll Holdings, a provider of tents.
No, that's it. That was the cue. I'll do it myself. Dun, dun. Just got there. Yes, the coalition is in hot water because Toll Holdings has had Australian government contracts on Nauru for a year, and it's understood that Toll regularly charters flights to the far-flung island. They're like mystery flights, where the great mystery is, what do I have to give you so you don't leave me here? And now, due to the allegations that the coalition might be in bed with the tent provider, Toll Holdings, the coalition has somehow made their policy of building a tent city on a remote island for persecuted minorities controversial, as opposed to Labor's policy of building a tent city on a different remote island for persecuted minorities, which we all loved. The completely different tent city policy has been examined by Mel Doyle on Sunrise, who asked Tony Abbott what the conditions were like on Nauru.
Mel, I've been to Nauru. Nauru is quite a pleasant island. Nauru is by no means an unpleasant place to live.
Okay, so maybe the coalition solution won't be as bad as we think. I mean, if Tony Abbott says it's quite pleasant, how bad can it be?
Nauru is a small island located in Micronesia with a population of roughly 9,000 people. At only 21 square kilometres, Nauru is the world's second smallest nation, which means you have to click zoom on Google Maps 7 times just to see it. The coalition's election plan to settle 5,000 asylum seekers over 5 years would see Nauru's population increase by 50% and result in 30% of those people being in detention. I'm no wizard, but that's worse than Azkaban. Based on their current setup, it would also result in 92% of Nauru's landmass being turned into a detention facility. Again, I'm no wizard, but that sounds exactly like Azkaban.
Tony Abbott's right, that does sound pretty pleasant. Finally though, in an effort to boost his chances of defeating Tony Abbott, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd has flown in 3 campaign experts who worked on Barack Obama's 2012 re-election, proving that Kevin Rudd is capable of bringing foreigners into Australia when it suits him. Now the trio includes social media expert Matthew McGregor, known for his ability to get spoof videos online, sometimes within minutes of mistakes being made by his opponents. Within minutes. I mean, if you thought it was tough for doctors to be on call, spare a thought for the guy who has to keep his phone on all night just in case Rudd calls.
No, I'm up. Ready? What happened? Tony Abbott said to who instead of to whom? What an idiot! What a f***ing idiot! I'm on it, ready? This is gonna be great. And upload.
Yeah, that's what it'd be like.
Would it be like that? Tom Glasson seems to think so.
Yeah, that's what it'd be like. Works fast.
Tom Glasson thinks I work fast.
Works fast. All right, now we get it. Okay. Now it's thought the hiring of these men will send shockwaves through the Abbott camp, given the trio's reputation for devastating campaigns built around a popular candidate using humour and ridicule. Ridicule? To think Kevin Rudd once said this.
I believe all Australians are sick and tired of negative politics.
To be fair though, Rudd did release that video over 3 weeks ago, so you can't really hold him to it. Still, who's to say that experts on US politics will be any use when it comes to Australian politics? Like, who's this god they talk about over there? I've never met him. Either way, it'll be a nasty shock though to go from a massive campaign like Obama's to a pretty piss-weak one like Rudd's. There won't be any Bruce Springsteens around to perform a campaign song, that's for sure. You'll have to settle for Jack Vidgen. Or Keith Urban, I don't know, it just seems funny if it's a kid. Anyway, they're gonna need to brush up on the specificities of Australian politics.
Okay guys, over the next 2 days, you're going to learn everything you need to know about carp fishing. Oh, no, wait, that's my 11 o'clock. Australian politics. Oh God, do we have to? We have to. Okay, pop quiz. Who's in charge of Australia?
Kevin Rudd.
Oh, no, it's this old lady. Fun fact, she's also in charge of England. Finish this sentence like an Australian politician. We have nothing to fear but...
Fear itself.
Classic American mistake. We've got plenty to fear. Asylum seekers, the cost of living, Scott Miller. Referring to prominent cultural references is a simple and effective way for politicians to seem like normal people. Observe. So here are some local references you can drop into everyday conversation. Your Lauren Eagles, your Reese Mastons, your Anthony, your Dorothy, the Girl Wiggle. Congratulations, you now know everything you need to know about Australian politics. Now, if anyone's interested in my carp fishing class...
And that's all the time we have for tonight, so thanks for joining us. Good night.
Tom Glasson thinks you've had enough news. Do you want to be told when you've had enough by this face? And what's with the red tie, Tom? Or should I say, comrade?
What? What is... Hey!
Tom Glasson has no friends.
I do too. Stop doing that. Roll the credits. Good night.
Look at these names. These are the faceless roast pal brokers who actually run this show. How do you even pronounce Horobat? Did they misspell Hobart? Sounds foreign. And where was Mark in this episode? He's my favorite.